Hello guys, I just wanted to do a quick video covering our lab 1 on peppered moths because this is a great example of evolution, natural selection, and adaptation. So looking at the left and right hand side, starting on the left hand side, we have the pre-industrial revolution. So before our industrial revolution, we had light colored bark on trees because lichens covered the trees. And we had, with the peppered moths, we had the typica phenotype, which increased fitness. So the typica phenotype was light colored peppered moths. So peppered moths were a combination of light and dark, but because the trees were white, it favored the lighter colored moths because the black ones stood out and therefore were more easily spotted by predators. Now on the right hand side, we have the Industrial Revolution. So the smoke, the coal, the pollution that came from the Industrial Revolution darkened the bark on the trees due to the soot. And so that reduced the lichen population, making the trees darker. Now we have the Carbonaria, the dark phenotype, and that was increased fitness because they blended in with the darker trees and the lighter ones stood out and then were eaten more by the predators. So what do we get from Kettlewell's experiment? So Kettlewell, if you remember from our lab, he went out and did a little experiment putting dark moths on light trees, light moths on dark trees, vice versa, and then studying how quickly they were eaten by predators, how many lived, etc. So he concluded that he's included in most biological texts as an example of evolution occurring. And how do we know that? One, we know that because the allele frequencies changed. Evolution, the change of allele frequencies in species over time. Remember that from our previous video? Yeah. The allele frequencies change because we're changing that color. And then next, is it a good measure of evolution? Yes, it is, because it's showing us that change over time in natural selection. 3, what happens when the environment changes again? Well, what do we see when the environment changes again? So do the environmental pressures and therefore natural selection and the fitness of the species. So whatever the natural pressure is, that's going to dictate which color of the moth is going to have a higher fitness and therefore reproduce quicker. And now that the populations are back to pre-industrial times, our allele frequencies have shifted again. And again, this is due to those environmental factors. And so if we look to the right-hand side, we're going to see that graph and how it changed over time with which population was higher and lower based on those natural selected pressures in the evolution over time. And again, we talked about micro and macro evolution and how not all evolution takes an incredibly long period of time to happen. Sometimes it happens within the span of 100 years. And sure, that's a long time, but we can see the change throughout that. So I hope this was a good quick review for you guys, and I will keep you updated with more videos.